Reflecting upon the last 25 years, Mennonite Church Eastern Canada's leadership team has identified 3 areas that will help strengthen its mission of extending the peace of Jesus Christ. Previously, we discussed identity, what it means to be Anabaptist, how do we identify ourselves within our society. We continue our discussion on what the road ahead may look like for our congregations and how we engage God's mission in the world. In the future, how will we connect with the community, and how will we respond to our neighbours?
As we look to the next 25 years in MCEC, I think we're going to experience some significant changes at the congregational level. Remember the other year at School for Ministers, Stuart Murray made the point that we as the church have moved from a dominant position in society to the margin. In response, our congregational life needs to shift from a maintenance mode to a mission mode.
But if we're going to connect with our secular society, are we at a point where we need to begin to reimagine and re-envision the congregation and what it needs for the next 25 years of mission?
Well, if we're going to take this seriously, then we need to help our congregations understand that they're more than just places of nurture and caring for one another. They need to understand that they're centers of mission for God. And I think this is going to be a huge change for congregational identity, to know that they have been called by God to be that mission for their neighborhood.
Well, if that's the case, Brian, then congregations need to be asking, who is my neighbor, in new ways? What does it mean to extend the peace of Jesus Christ? Or to use a leadership team expression, what does it mean to take the church to the streets?
Do we know how to do that, Jeff?
Well, in order for that to happen, I think that it will require that we think differently about both pastoral and lay leadership. I think we have to start asking what it means to be leaders of a mission that is focused outward to extend the peace of Jesus Christ.
Amen to that, Jeff. You know, just last week I was challenging the ministers who were completing the 3rd year of the Transitioning into Ministry program. I challenged them to be creative and bold in proclaiming the gospel and extending the peace of Jesus Christ. And I reminded them of the challenge and the promise in Ephesians 3, that it is only by the power at work within us. You know, that word power literally translated is dynamite. By the power at work within us, that we are able to accomplish abundantly far more than all we can ask or imagine. So imagine how far God might be able to extend the peace of Jesus Christ through MCEC in the next 25 years, if we are mobilized and energized by that power.
But Henry, what kind of leadership is going to be needed if that's going to happen?
Well, I think, David, that will mean being more adventuresome and daring, being present in our neighborhoods and building relationships in ways that may be new for us.
Henry, you've met Jordan Toms, the 23-year-old Caribbean Canadian, big guy, big hair, blue jeans, and he's a church planter. And for him, church means doing Bible study in the local Tim Hortons. It means doing prison ministry with the people that he grew up with. It's risky, but I think we need to learn how to do things differently.
If we want to do things differently, and if the church is going to thrive in the future, we need to engage our young adults. I was just thrilled the other week when 60 young adults showed up at the Preston Church to hear Shane Claiborne and Tony Campolo. I think they could help us find our way.
Yeah, and they were there on a Saturday night, Esther. I was inspired by their passion too, by their passion for the church and their commitment to engage their communities with God's justice and peace. I think it was important that we as a leadership team be present there with them that evening. These young adults reminded us that, you know, the world is rapidly changing. Future is unpredictable. But you know, I think that with their passion and commitment, the church is in good hands.
That red letter dinner was great, and I hope we can push it out even further with the follow-up listening circles. We old-timers, and I'm talking about me here, I think we need to be able to help the young adults find and explore their passion for this Anabaptist faith. And I'm hoping that they can also help us with a few experiments in marginalized communities.
And I think it's great that our 3 MCEC councils are partnering with Connect Ministries to test this model in 2 sites in Toronto and 1 in Ottawa.
I'm hoping we can harness some of that young adult passion and energy.
It would be great if some of these young adult Anabaptists would actually move into these neighborhoods and join a local church planter to minister alongside the people of the church.
Yeah, it strikes me that an economically marginalized community needs the same things that all communities have. There needs to be those spiritual, economic, and social resources. Will God choose to raise up new Mennonite churches and cause them to grow in those neighborhoods with those ingredients? I don't know, but this is my prayer.
Now that would be exciting. But I think existing congregations can also develop some new, exciting trajectories. I've been really impressed by some of our historic congregations and how they're beginning to retool for a new era of ministry.
You know, Esther, a number of these congregations are approaching retooling and renewal in surprisingly different ways. They are discovering that the way forward is more than simply creating a plan of action. It's about deep listening to God and to each other. As congregations learn to let go of their own agendas and pay attention to what God is inviting them to do, a whole new world opens up. It's beginning to happen throughout MCEC. I spoke recently with Lois, pastor at Wideman, and their congregation is planning a series of workshops to do this very thing, to pay attention to what God is inviting them to do in a rapidly changing world.
I think adapting to all this social change is going to be a big challenge, Jeff. But I believe, in fact, that's where God is calling us to go. And I think it's going to be both exciting and scary. But to stay focused, I think we're going to need to be strongly united around a common center and a common mission.
Churches need to address what God's mission is for them. It is not so much that the Church of God has a mission, as the mission of God has a church. How does your congregation engage some of these challenging questions about mission? We invite you to join the conversation.